is the Investor Connect podcast program. This is Hall T. Martin. I'm the host of the show, in which we interview angel investors, venture capital, private equity, family offices, and many other investor groups for startups and growth companies. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for joining us. Well, hi, Rob. Thanks for joining.
How are you?
Okay. Yeah, no problem. Well, good connecting with you. I got a few minutes left and love to connect and learn more about what you guys are doing. I looked at the website, so I got the high level, but just was interested in where you are with it, with the fundraise.
Okay, great. Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, so we've bootstrapped thus far. We've validated our capabilities with third party, the University of Michigan Kinesiology lab. So we know we're able to build and train a transformer model for this kind of data. So now we've got letters of intent with customers. So we need funding to help us train that model it take us about 4 months or so, and then supply it to our first customers. So we've bootstrapped with $700K thus far. We just don't have enough, which is about a minimum of $800K to get us to 8 to 10 months of runway. We're currently looking for $2 million. We're splitting it in two tranches to kind of reduce risk for the investors, 800K plus 1.2.
Mm-hmm.
So they get in for 1.2. They're committed for the 1.2 if we fulfill and provide to our first customers. They validate it. They turn their LOI into a contract. They release the 1.2, and then we have 18 months runway. So I've been at the funding now campaign for a little bit more officially 6 months. First going after VCs, but they really didn't have their heads wrapped around AI and what foundation models were. So I've kind of refocused in the last 3 months, angel investors. So the pitch deck is pretty much done. Executive summary is done. The narrative is done. I have pitched to some. It's just getting in front of the right investors with the right thesis, the right people.
Right.
So that's why I was on, it could be family offices too. That's why I was on your call earlier today, just to understand family offices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they're great, great investors, especially the single family offices. I think are a good fit for us. So if you're training your system, where does the data come from? What kind of moat do you have around your AI system?
Our moat it's patented, and the data is generated by ourselves. We put sensors on human subjects, run them through choreographed routines, collect the data, and then train the models from there.
How much data do you have?
It's our own data. We don't. We've got enough to prove when we did our independent tests with the University of Michigan Kinesiology lab. But to actually create a transformer model, we need about 4 months of training on human subjects. That's where we need our current funding. So we're kind of like in this middle state, not an idea, validated, patented, but not quite yet an MVP because we have to train the model. So we're very similar to OpenAI was back in 2015.
Would you say training the model is similar to a clinical trial of some kind with a medical device? Is it that same level of work and complexity and cost?
No, not that level.
Okay.
So it's going to take us 4 months. Yeah, it's going to take us 4 months, roughly about $350,000 to $400,000 to get us to our Rev 1 trained model.
Okay. All right. And then I guess you have to do more after that. Is that you'd be just another round of that later, or is it a higher dollar, more extensive training you have to do on it?
Well, the $2 million that I mentioned to you includes subsequent Rev 2, Rev 3 trains of the model.
Okay.
But the first Rev 1 will go out to our first customer, and then we'll continue to improve that for them and then for the next customers.
Okay. All right. I didn't know if the cost of training went up or down after the initial one, if your cost more to train it, fine tune it versus the rough tuning.
Well, each subsequent training is going to cost money, but it's not like LLMs where you're constantly making them super, super large with all this data and scrubbing. We're creating our data and training on our first level of biomechanics. just on a wrist-worn device. So it's very, very small.
Is that a vertical or a narrow LLM you're putting together, or is it
It's a,
called something else?
we don't call it an LLM because it's not large language. We're calling it an SMM, small motion model. And its vertical is going to be for consumer fitness trackers. So wrist worn, finger worn, glasses, and it'll evolve from there. So because fitness trackers and wearables with their metrics have such product market fit now, we're focusing on that entry market. Then you've got robots, smartphones, drones, anything that moves that has an inertial motion sensor in it can use our IP.
Right.
We're middleware. So we're middleware. We're only software. So we're kind of an interpreter between the output of the inertial sensors and the final application.
Hmm. Okay. That makes sense. I think on our side, our investors are looking for those with revenue. There's something in the market with revenue. And it sounds like you're
Typical.
pre-revenue at this point. So it's probably not a fit for what we're
Absolutely.
doing. But there's a lot of people out there that are interested in the space, and there's probably a lot of partners you can go with as well that can help provide some initial data to get something running to show, MVP, show it works. May not be your data, but it's something to prove it works.
No, no data. No, because we've got completely new IP. This is completely patented. We formed a new unit of measure for initial motion data. So there is nothing out there that we can use.
Okay. All
There's
right.
nothing we've got to train from scratch.
I got you. Okay.
So we're looking for the visionaries who understand, transformer models. That's the basis and the foundation for AI.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, no, it sounds like a cool project and so forth. I don't think we're a good fit for it at this point, but I'm sure there's other people out there in the space that are doing it. So I guess I would look at the space to see for who understands your application and work out from there. There are quite a few corporate VCs in this space that are looking to get in there that might be good partners for you that would put some money in because they want to be in the same space. Have you looked at corporate VCs yet?
Such as,
So any of the companies that are in the physical space, physiology space, most groups have if they don't have a formal corporate VC, they got a biz dev group that puts funding into next generation technologies. They invest off the balance sheet in most cases. They don't do enough deals
Mhm,
to make a separate fund out of it. But any of
mhm,
these gyms and any of these groups that are in the physical rehabilitation space would be very interested in this and would probably partner with you and could put some money in, but they want to see how it works. And a lot of them
mhm,
put money in because they just want a front row seat on how the technology is evolving. So they don't, instead of spending a huge amount of corporate time going after it, they're spending a little bit of a few dollars, 500K is little in this case, and
yeah,
seeing how did it work out? Did you get the
mhm,
result you wanted? And what's the next step after that? And they're learning how the AI path is going to play out. There's too many unknowns for them to go commit a big effort, but I'd
yeah,
go after corporate VCs to say, hey, I'll give you a front row seat and share with you all the data and what we're learning and all this stuff. And if you could be a channel to market for me, that's often the reason for doing it, taking their
mhm,
money. But they, like I say, they want to learn how the technology plays out and what works and what doesn't. What are the limitations on technology? That's a big question. We have grand expectations, but what does it take to get there, and cost and data and people and team and training and so forth. So a lot of it is an experiment for their side to have something going on, but you're doing all the legwork and they're doing all the watching is how that plays out.
yeah, yeah. Would love to do that. I just don't know how to identify those corporate VCs.
Well,
How do
it's
you find them?
companies that, are in that space, the Pelotons and all the guys that make equipment for gyms, and they're making training systems and the CrossFits and all that. All of those guys are in that space, and they're now trying to figure out what can AI do for us in this time. And if you're there with
Mhm,
a pilot project, you define it as a project, as a pilot. We're going to do X, Y, and Z. You put this money in, we do this work, you can see these results. It's going to be on a 6-month window. It's all well defined. It's not whatever you want. No,
mhm,
it's a defined project that you want, and they're going to be funding it to get the results out. They get to interview everybody on the team. They get to look at the data. They get to see all the stuff, and that's what they want. So I'd package it up as a pilot project and take it around to the fitness gyms and say, who wants to fund our pilot to be in on this great thing? And down the road, you get first rights to invest. I mean, you get to have to invest. It just means you get a right to invest down the way if you want to. And you negotiate that stuff out up front. You know, what do you really want from these guys? Like I say, most people want someone to, well, pay them a little bit of money to fund it, but they also want, usually they need other things. They need resources, they need a facility, they need training, they need people, they need whatever to make it go. So I'm going to all the fitness centers trying to find out who wants to learn about AI and how it might work. And we got this cool technology that you could be a part of if you wanted to. And in joining the pilot for 500K, they're learning what it can do and why is it unique and what is it all about. And they're spending time with you, and you're looking for your advocate inside the group. Because if you ever talk to a true corporate VC, the first thing they do when they get your request is they start walking down the hallway of their company looking for who in the company is going to own this thing, you know, from a product point of view or technical point of view. So if you can help them figure that out, that you're halfway there. If they can't figure out who's going to own it, well, it's not going to get done. But in most cases, these guys are finance guys and they're just trying to screen deals, but they do want to find cool technologies, and you certainly have one. So I'd go after corporate VCs and identify someone in the company that you think that project manager would be the right fit for it, and then go to the business development group and say, I've got this great project. That guy over there would be a really great help, and here's how our pilot project works, and package it up as a well-defined project. You know, it's not this open-ended, we're going to do cool stuff, but we don't know what. No, it's very well milestoned out and what the data looks like and what you're going to learn. And you may be surprised how much they wouldn't mind putting money in for that.
Yeah. No, I've heard about this. I've just, if I go on the Peloton website, I don't even know. I mean, how do you even connect with the biz dev group?
Biz dev is the name I always found. Now, sometimes if they have a formal VC fund, it says we're the venture fund arm of this. You Google, you know, Bear venture arm, and up comes their name. So you just take the name and put venture in it and see what pops up. If nothing pops up, then you go to the biz dev route. You just knock on the biz development door, and if there's anybody that's funding those projects on a formal way, well, they're on the org chart. They'll tell you they exist or they don't. And like I say, most of them don't have a formal VC fund. They just do fund off the balance sheet because they're supporting some initial effort, and everybody's got an AI effort. So you're looking to be a part of either, you know, you're looking to be a part of their AI effort is what it is. So that's another angle, is they call it an AI effort in this space. And you'll find a lot of interest popping up because everybody's got an AI strategy. Everybody knows what they're going to do with it, but they're trying to do something. And if you're showing up to do the work for them and you know, really, you know, dig in to show you got a game plan, they don't, well, then they're probably starting to line up behind you because this is something that they can show we're making progress. We got this group we're going to get behind, and they're going to do all this stuff. So that's how I do it.
Okay.
All right. I'll let you get back to it.
Sir.
Thanks so much for taking time.
All right.
Have a good one.
Thank you for taking your time. Take care.
Investor Connect helps investors interested in startup funding. In this podcast series, experienced investors share their experience and advice. You can learn more at investorconnect.org. Paul T. Martin is the director of Investor Connect, which is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to the education of investors for early stage funding. All opinions expressed by Hall and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Investor Connect. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions.